conspiracy theories and the Cowboys, they were happy with that. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Trozian, and this is RamView, the August 11th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at Temple City Auto Repair.com. And it's already begun. Stafford didn't play, didn't practice today. Steve Ramirez chimes in. The conspiracy plot in me. Rams were able to re-sign Jimmy G because they already knew about Stafford's back. I think they knew Stafford was 37. I think they knew he played 13 years in Detroit. I think Jimmy G knew that, man, could Stafford be totally healthy for a third consecutive season? So I think all those things were natural ones. I don't think it's a deep state conspiracy like voting machines and, ballots and mail in this and that kind of stuff. I don't think it's that far. But I think they read the leaves, right? And again, I'll get into it. I'm still not too worried about it. USA expat, preseason or not, first two possessions, 14-0 lead. I'll take that every time. Absolutely. And against the Cowboys, right? Someone says, Joe, when are you going to stop picking on the Cowboys? When they rotten like stinking in the earth. Although I'm happy to have Forgotten Locale there with us. Forgotten Locale, has there been any word on whether we're going to have a scrimmage against New Orleans? I don't know. The last thing I heard, no, I don't know anything more from that. I heard that earlier today. I'll take all the correct. Payo time, back in the house. I'm the Payo time opening act. I think that's what I should call the show. Glad you're here. USA expat, I really like the non-vanilla preseason play calling. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Payo time, good to have you. I'm going to comment on that when we get to Stetson Bennett because I thought it was something that we touched on a couple weeks ago, and we'll get into it today because I'm a spiteful, bitter person who doesn't let anything go, right? Okay, game notes. Before I get to Ram notes, game notes first. I wanted to come out and just say, Mina Kimes, just shut up. You're driving me crazy. But actually across the board, MJD, Kimes, even JB Long, I thought they were terrible. I thought they were awful. I thought they phoned it in. I thought, it's freaking preseason, dude. You got to tell us who's on the field. Set the board. Who's on the offensive line? Who's getting the starts, right? Who's getting the initial snaps? I was very, very frustrated with the booth. I kind of found myself missing Andrew Siciliano, to tell you the truth. They couldn't have worked him back in there. I mean, not the end of the world. But now let's get on to Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett is changing opinions and made some great throws, right? If you remember, many in Rams media, this is what we brought up a couple weeks ago, we're saying that Bennett just needs to play safe, that Bennett just needs to, not do anything big, hand the ball off, make the safe check down. And then we brought it up about 10 days ago, counter to Rams media, that it's year 3 for Bennett. He's set to turn 28 in a couple months. Bennett needed to fling it, and he did. In fact, Bennett made throws I never anticipated him making. The 4th down throw to Xavier Smith up the line, whoa, right? That was big league, right? That was Stafford-esque. That was an excellent throw. Now, I say Stafford-esque, not Matthew Stafford. But that was some great work on Stetson Bennett's part. He came out there and he flinged it like a guy that was playing for his NFL career. Now, his career is going to be here in L.A., but don't you feel better about him? I was talking to Mid-Valley sports guy, Dwayne Barker, today. He's, they're in the room with the Chargers, and they got their own nightmares going. But we were talking about how Doesn't he make you feel a little bit better than John Wolford, right? I think so. I think he makes you feel a little bit better than John Wolford. And Wolford was the backup quarterback, not the third guy. Really happy with what I'm happy, and I am happy for Stetson Bennett. Let's also look at this. Xavier Smith, right? Not only the catch down the sideline on 4th down, which I think a USA expat spoke about that. They weren't out there to punt the ball. They were out there to put as close as they could to real game situations. And that's the part that's happens when you have your backup quarterback in and your starter is out. It's 3rd and 9 or 4th and 6, and it's your third string quarterback. You just don't want to put him in that position. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm right there with USA expat. But Smith made that catch. And did you see the catch he made earlier when he went up blind? It was from the right seam over there. The pass up the sideline was on the left, but he was on the seam on the right. He went up, extended, and got it. I think the message here is that Xavier Smith is not just a special teams guy. We saw glimpses of that last year, and I think Brenton Covey should not be renting long-term in LA. That's my personal belief. And such. And also going back to Kanata Mupfield, I know everyone liked him. We had a 5th round win in 2023. We had a 6th round win last year in Whittington. I hope there's a 7th round win in 2025 in Mupfield, but I don't know if he's quite there yet. I know he turned an ankle, had a couple of drops. Well, one drop really, but there were just a couple things there that were a little suspect, and not suspect of him not making the club, but before we call him the steal of the draft, those things need to take place. All right. Offensive line. As I was making notes of this, the team comes out with A.J. Arcuri at left tackle, Wyatt Bowles, undrafted free agent at left guard, Bo Limmer at center, Justin Diedick at right guard, David Quisenberry at right tackle. Who's absent there? Well, besides the starters, we know, of course, DJ Humphries. He's kind of like starter AA, right? Because right now we're not so sure about Alaric Jackson. But Warren McClendon didn't play. Tells you that the talk of Sean McVay about Warren McClendon was huge, and that early on you read into it that McClendon is, as of right now, I would say, Havenstein's backup. Quisenberry is a veteran, probably needed some snaps out there. Not going to upset me if he makes the team because of his depth and his experience. But Quisenberry got some snaps, got some exposure. He might be a guy that if another offensive lineman goes down, maybe the Rams can flip for a 7th or 6th rounder. We don't know. Maybe he even makes the team. That's good. Justin Diedick played left guard last year, started 3 games there in the Avila absence. In fact, he's the guy that ran Logan Bruss out of town. So he starts at right guard on a Saturday late afternoon. Bo Limmer started at center. Didn't hear much about Dylan McMahon unless they whispered it sometime when I wasn't paying attention. But McMahon had the tender ankle. He didn't play. So you got Limmer at starting center, Diedick at right guard, Arcuri, Bowles on the left side, and Quisenberry at right tackle. That lineup was out there for the first 2 drives that led to a 14-0 score. Starting with the 3rd drive, KT Leviston came in at left tackle, which was pretty cool to see because we had heard talk that maybe he's a guard. He played tackle in college, but Leviston played left tackle. I think he took about 41 snaps there at left tackle. Bowles remained in the position. In fact, Bowles outside of Stetson Bennett, no, maybe even more than Stetson Bennett. I think Bowles played the most offensive snaps at left guard. So that was interesting to see. And then Justin Diedick moved from right guard to center, and Bo Limmer moved from center to right guard. And A.J. Arcuri moved from left tackle and replaced Quisenberry at right tackle. And again, that was an interesting flex there that the Rams did. Interesting to see Justin Diedick because I think he was a center for USC. In fact, I believe he was a center at USC. And then to see Limmer flash out to right guard. Again, some versatility there. We've seen Dylan McMahon listed at center guard, Justin Diedick, center guard, Limmer, center guard, Coleman Shelton, center guard. So there's a lot of flexibility there internally. And then you're talking Wyatt Bowles getting a lot of snaps as a UDFA. That's pretty interesting. And I'm kind of rooting for KT Leviston. Now, I know everybody was crazy about Willie Lampkin, and Lampkin played well. He didn't play bad. I'm trying to see his snaps here. I think Lampkin had 32 snaps, and they're ready to declare him Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, Ken Iman, Rick Saw. He's become the Nelson Spruce of the preseason because he's, 5'11"? I hope he does well. But do you see him playing any place but center right now? I don't know. I don't know. Will he have the flexibility to play in the NFL? Now, that low center of gravity, that squat build, hey, we've seen that stuff happen before. That would be great to see. Ben Dooley came in, played left guard for a few snaps. But I loved what they did on the offensive line. I loved seeing the shifting. I love seeing Bowles go the distance. I love seeing Leviston playing the bulk of the game at left tackle. And then going back to the sound booth. The sound booth was talking about how great the offensive line was playing, how they were opening up holes, but they made no mention of the adjustments, right? No adjustments after the third drive. It was just an appalling performance of that entire booth. And I wasn't thrilled with Mina Kimes, but it wasn't just Mina Kimes, right? It was everybody, and JB Long should know better. Let me get back to you guys. I was ignoring you there for a minute or so. The stage is all mine. Thank you very much, Payo Time. Manny Vasquez, glad to see Stewart got off to a good start. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that edge room here in a second. But yeah, it was nice to see him get a sack, right? That was cool. Cowboy fan says hi. Thanks for coming in. I know it was rough, and I know I'm rough on the Cowboys, but good job. USA Expat, 3rd and 27. How does Jolly let the wide receiver get behind by 5 yards? I think he's poor Jolly. I think he might be at the end of his run. Tim Powers, I got your text. Fubo TV. My provider right now is YouTube TV. When I'm on the road working camp, I download the Fubo TV app. You can delay it anytime you want. And I saw the Rams playoff game on Fubo TV. It was a good deal. So you might want to check that out, Mr. Powers. Let's see here. What was your question? I had you in here. Yes. A little love towards the guard center Lampkin. Good thing Randy Newman isn't on the Rams. I like him. I'm just saying everyone's fallen in love really fast because you got to remember Lampkin didn't come in until the second half, right? Really get all those snaps really until the second half. Cowboys fan, my team lost. And you're with us, man. You're a stud. X Factor Smith is becoming a favorite player of mine for sure. Payo Time. Yeah, right? This is a guy that is more than a special teams dude. It's exciting to see what he's doing. And, when I wrote off Atwell, I thought for sure the Rams weren't going to extend Atwell. I figured Xavier Smith would move into that role, but they gave Atwell 10 rocks guaranteed, and I wondered what that meant for Smith, but I'm excited for Xavier Smith. Brian Smith, Xavier's clutch return versus the 49ers last year. Oh, yeah, very special moment in that 2024 season, Mr. Smith. Manny Vasquez, I'm still on the fence with Bennett. It's going to take more than a couple of good throws against a bad Dallas defense with second and thirds and fourth stringers. I understand what you're saying. To me, it's the confidence of the throws. You got to be confident throwing that football. You just have to be. As someone who played quarterback at a very, very, very low level, and I had a strong arm, but there are times your confidence is gone, and it doesn't make any difference. You could be playing against a WNBA team out there, and if your confidence is gone, your confidence is gone. And, he made throws. And, no, I hope he doesn't play it down this year. I just hope unless it's week 18 for some reason. But I don't know. I don't want to go out and get another third guy. I don't want to go out and sign somebody that's in the street. I don't want Tim Boyle in here if he's got to be our third guy. I want a guy that's been around for 3 years, knows the quarterback room, knows Sean McVay, and has some semblance of McVay's confidence. And so that's kind of where I'm at on Bennett. And I was happy for the kid having a good performance. And it's okay. You don't have to be all sold on him either, Manny. That's a fair statement. Manny goes on. CeeDee Lamb getting completely trucked by a referee was hilarious. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. USA Expat. Is Reader starting to look over his shoulder? I looked at it two ways. I didn't like the fact that Reader didn't really play, because does that mean he's on the team? Or did the fact that Reeder didn't play because he doesn't have to play at this stage? I don't know. I like Troy Reeder. I appreciate Troy Reeder. I want Dolak. I want Landman. I want Spates. I want Paul. I want the younger guys in there that have more of an upside. If Reeder gets put in the street and things go south, we could sign him in week 11, right? No one else is going to sign Troy Reeder. So it's kind of where I'm at. Brian Smith, Limmer, 39 reps at NFL Combine last season. I like Limmer. I do. I like Limmer, and I want to see them develop him. Let's see. Forgotten locale, 10 or 11 offensive linemen make the final roster. Ooh, I think 10 is stretching it a bit. I think it would be 10. I've seen teams going mostly of 9. It'll be interesting. I like a deep roster, but then we're talking running back issues now too, aren't we? We'll get into that. DHP, great to have you, DHP. I have been looking at the highlights of Willie Lampkin. The man has skills and would have been a first-round pick if he was 6'3" or taller. I'm not going to disagree with you. But if he was a few inches taller, is the same argument I heard for THT. This guy was up there, and I've seen short corners make it in this league. Time immemorial, Rod Perry and Pat Thomas didn't even stand 5'10" in cleats and helmet, right? And so I was all in on THT and everyone telling me, and I'm not out on Willie Lampkin, but yeah, I hear you, DHP. Payo time. Thoughts on the Rams' depth at secondary showcase in this game? Well, first I want to hear it on Payo time. Hey, I asked Joe Terosian at RamView, and this is what he said. Okay, that's what I want. That's my cost there, Payo. But I like Josh Wallace, and I was looking at him. I was trying to keep track of where he was on the field. He was at safety and corner, right? Was he playing some star position? And I like Josh Wallace. Wallace made this team last year. I was curious to see Darian Kendrick right out there with Sean Jolly, out there with Charles Woods, out there with who was the other guy? That was AJ Green, and there was Kendrick out there as well. I was curious to see how that's breaking down. That I thought for sure Kendrick would maybe get the last corner spot on this team, and I don't know if he is. Josh Wallace has some versatility now, and he did make the team last year when Kendrick, of course, was lost for the year. That's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. I do like the Rams' depth at secondary. It's the aggregate, right? It's not the one star, but there's a lot of depth there. Let's see. Samuel Ansley, howdy, Joe. Two Lambkins. I'm sorry. Let me know what that one is. Howdy too. I'm glad you're here, Sam. Brian Smith. I think Reeder and Rivers make the squad. Really? You think so? Samuel Ansley on the 53. Brian Smith, yes. Payo time. That's a fair cost for my efforts here. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Wallace and Kendrick are very interesting. Yeah, because Wallace made this team. Would Wallace have made this team last year if Kendrick didn't get banged up, if he didn't tear up his knee? And Wallace was around the whole season. Charles Woods was around, but they had to cut him, and then they put him on the practice squad, but he's still around as well. It's interesting to see how that works out. Reeder and Rivers, special teams value. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not going to be upset. But, man, you keep those guys around, but when you got some talented players, I don't think you're going to let them – you can let Rivers and Reeder go and bring them back to a practice squad. You let go of Dolak after all the conversation about him, he's not going to pass through waivers. You let same thing with Paul. He's not going to pass through waivers. Someone's going to grab him. Manny Vasquez, I think the secondary will be a lot better than people realize with that front seven harassing the quarterback all game long. At Manuel, I agree. Brian Smith. Bill, where would you play Lampkin, guard, or center? To me, I see center. I say center. USA expat. Do we have a punter or what? We do have a punter. We have a great punter there. Okay, real quick here. Looking at that defense, okay, Josiah Stewart. There was a name that I threw out there that I thought looked pretty good. I don't know how he graded. I don't trust all the PFF grades. But did you see Jack Heflin out there? I thought Jack Heflin looked pretty good. I thought he did. I thought Norton looked like some guy that I wanted to say Ed Norton, Bill Norton. I thought he looked like he was a good space eater, but I liked Heflin and, of course, Josiah Stewart getting the sack. Here's my snap count for that secondary. Sean Jolly got 45 snaps. He's fighting for his life. A.J. Green, 43 snaps, fighting for his life. Kendrick might be more on the bubble than I initially anticipated with 36. Tanner Engel, 34. Woods, 33. Now, here's where it really gets interesting. Josiah Stewart's making the team, right? All God's people said amen. He's going to make the team. And then, of course, Byron Young, Jared Verse. But where does it go with 4 and 5? Kerr Thomas got the start. Kerr Thomas only played 6 snaps. He didn't appear on any injury report. Kerr Thomas only played 6 snaps, and I've been writing Kerr Thomas's obit for 2 years. But the guys that played, Brennan Jackson and Nick Hampton, Jackson got 31 snaps, Hampton got 27. I'm not going to worry about PFF scores against, second, third, and UDFAs. But I think Kerr Thomas right now might be the inside track to be the 4th edge guy. And I think Jackson and Hampton are fighting to keep a Los Angeles address on this roster. What do you guys think? I think that's a real possibility. Remember, they were both 5th-round picks in back-to-back years. So something to keep an eye on there between them. It really comes down to who plays. I kept saying, he's playing. They like him. He's playing. They like him about a lot of players. And I refuse to believe that Jonah Williams about 2 or 3 years ago was going to make this team ahead of Marquise Copeland, because Copeland had been the guy that was playing, but Jonah Williams passed him, and I should have known that because Jonah Williams wasn't playing in the preseason and Marquise Copeland was. I think this was going into 2023, and Marquise Copeland got put in the street, and Jonah Williams ended up starting for a full year for the Rams. Yeah, so. Just really interesting stuff there about when they don't play, right? That means, okay, this position is pretty much set unless there's an injury. Let's see here. Michael Negretti. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back this up here, guys. I'm so sorry. Brian Smith, every team has their version of Dolak or Lampkin. Yes, that's true. But I like Rams scouting department. Rams have a tendency to develop these guys. Let's remember, I think Troy Reeder, who I'm out on right now, but the Rams felt confident enough to have Troy Reeder on the field in the Super Bowl. They developed these guys. Christian Roseboom, who hung around forever as a special teamer, had a really nice year last year. By any other account, another season, he never should have got another contract in the NFL. But he walked. And so there are guys out there you can squeeze juice out of, and I think Dolak is one of those guys, and maybe Lampkin. Let's see, Payo time. Do you think Cardi can make a 70-yard field goal? That seems to be the new expectation for kickers. I don't know how old you are, Payo time, but does anyone remember there was this great run of kickers, Southwestern Conference back in the day? Steve Little at Arkansas, Tony Franklin at Texas A&M, and then Russell Erxleben at Texas. And every week you were hearing stuff of a 67-yarder, a 68-yarder. And of course, I think they were kicking off tees, right? But I would expect the guy that kicks a 70-yarder to be built like Sebastian Janikowski. And that kid for Jacksonville, he looks like the kid bringing me my Uber Eats or delivering my pizza, right? That guy, where'd he get the juice, in that foot to kick a 70-yarder. I don't know. I think you go 70 yards, they ought to add 4 points to it, right? If you kick from 70 yards, add 4 points. That would be kind of cool. Let's see here. Brian Smith, every team's fan base has a diamond in the rough prediction. Hey, the Rams have produced diamonds in the rough. I'm sure somebody didn't think that or thought that about Alaric Jackson, right? And he became a starting left tackle for 2 years. So I'm pushing back there. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. What did you think of the game? What players stood out to you? Cody Schrader, Xavier Smith, Stetson Bennett. Those guys stood out to me. Bill Lampkin had a 94.1 Pro Football Focus. I think it's great. Pro Football Focus is a great place to start. But again, who was he matching up against? And you got to find out, like, okay, where do we go from here at next level, right? I'm not anti Willie Lampkin, not anti. I'm not as entirely trustworthy at PFF, and I'm a subscriber. USA expat. Thoughts on Val Carroll? Val Carcel? Is that how we pronounce it? You know, Tim Powers sent me something on Val Carroll, and I wasn't sure. I didn't get to it there. He looked aggressive to me, but I didn't really make any notes on him. What are your thoughts on him? I'd be curious to know, USA expat. Brian Smith, don't forget, when a team plucks a guy from a practice squad, they have to promote them to their active roster. It's not a give me to claim somebody. No, it's not. Cody Schrader, right? Cody Schrader. Brian Smith, Bill, keep in mind Lampkin was playing against third and fourth stringers. Okay, Michael Negretti, trade rumors for Kirk Cousins. What do you, Pastor Joe, do? Do we need to trade for a quarterback? We've got Jimmy G and Bennett. We are good. No, we don't want – I like Kirk Cousins, nice guy. I don't want Kirk Cousins anywhere near SoFi unless he's coming with Atlanta, right? Nope, sorry. I want Kirk Cousins in Atlanta so when Penix does go down for something, Cousins comes in, plays one game, everyone gets all excited, and then all of a sudden teams start teeing off on him and Falcons fail and fall apart. I am not interested in bringing in any other quarterback, right now. I'm not. If heaven forbid something horrible happened to Matthew Stafford, I'm going Jimmy G and Stetson, and then I'll keep Dresser Wynn around until something better comes along. But that's what I'm doing. Payo time. I got to go. Great stream, Joe. Appreciate your hearing your perspective. Thank you so much, Payo. Thanks for hanging out. Manny Correa, what's up, Pastor Joe? Thank you, Manny, for hanging out. You too. Rams have to have heads on Hoyt's had heads up on Hoyt's PED testing. Do you think they bring him back if he tested clean? It opened up a spot on the roster where they let him go. Would you rather have him? I liked Michael Hoyt, another guy that was developed, undrafted free agent, got a second contract. Thing is, though, the Bills gave him some decent money, and the Rams didn't have to give him decent money. That, and you could go back to Brian Smith's comment. Every team has diamonds in the rough, right? Some guys, they get polished up and they shine, and then some guys get polished up and are supernovas. Michael Hoyt shined, right? But he's not a supernova, which means you can move past him. USA expat, Val Carroll and Val Carcel, good range and brought the wood. Yeah, I think that's fair. I definitely think that's fair. Tanner Engel might be in trouble. Let's see. USA expat, what's up, amigo? Okay, Steve Ramirez, did you see the Rams sign a new tight end today? McClellan Castles, former Eagle, former Charger, and they put Anthony Torres in the street. Manny Correa, I like Tony Fields. I don't think he's going to last long, Chief. I think he's going to get cut. Maybe winds up on the practice squad. He is a veteran. He was drafted by the Browns, I think, so he might have something out there. Yes, I saw the CeeDee Lamb thing. Not a good look for the Cowboys. Not a good look at all. Okay, real quick here. We still got a whole bunch of stuff to do. Let's see here. All right, let me just do it. I'm Joe Trojan, sports writer. We're almost half hour in. I was a sports writer for about 20 years, 21 years. Still am, still contributing to Mid-Valley Sports. I don't run the show over there. I just do a little content. In fact, he's not with us right now, but the great Tim Burns has an NFL Now column that we are posting tomorrow morning at midvalleysports.com. It's a fun read, kind of recaps. It does recap week 1 of the preseason, so you might want to check that out. We couldn't do RamView without Kistler Law. I used to work at Mid-Valley Sports. I moved on. Now I talk about the Rams thanks to Kistler Law and Temple City Auto and you folks buying my books. So please, you don't have to read them. Just buy them. Check out my books on Amazon. 2 football novels on about high school and a Rams novel about the Rams playing the Packers in an NFC championship game. I'd love for you guys to check them out. And, of course, check us out on Spotify and iHeart. We appreciate that. Most of this stuff, as you know, keeps me employed in my day job, where I am currently on vacation. My day job is I pastor a small church, very small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And we are right here on YouTube with Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and of course, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. If you have any questions about that, feel free to contact me. Like I said, for 3 weeks, the content's going to be a little static there because I am on vacation from that job. You'll notice I got my fantasy football championship ring on when I kicked butt in the San Luis Obispo League up there. They invited me in, VD, VG. I came, I saw, I kicked their butt. So I'm wearing my bling. All right. Finishing up a little bit more here with the Ram game on Saturday. Cody Schrader is only a surprise, right? Like, speaking of the KBM, that didn't take notice, right? And we talked about Schrader here a minute ago. Schrader was waived by the 49ers, signed by the Rams to the roster. They never tried to pass him through waivers to get him on the practice squad. They kept him on the 53, but didn't activate him until week 18. Like the signing of Forbes, there were plenty of signs to indicate what the Rams thought of Schrader, because they were just kind of keeping him tucked away. They wanted a shot with him. And then, of course, he got activated week 18, and then Corum busted his arm, and he was in the playoffs. I love Ronnie Rivers. Ronnie Rivers is the Rocky, right? There should be a movie about Ronnie Rivers. This guy just keeps surviving. But I have a feeling he's met his match in Cody Schrader. Schrader might have an equal work ethic, but he also has more talent. And again, we know who they were playing against. But again, there's things you just see that if you're following the Rams, like the Forbes signing, you picked up the rest of his rookie deal. You picked him up on waivers and you assumed the rest of his contract. That must mean you believe in him. And the same thing about Schrader. They signed him, didn't activate him. He is on the 53. So he was in that like little limbo there between the active 48 every Sunday and the practice squad. But if you try to pass him through, he can be signed. And so they kept him, and they have a thought for him. So yeah, definitely 4 running backs is an issue here, because you got Kyron, you got Blake, you got Jarquez, who I really haven't talked about, who looked pretty good. And then you've got Rivers or Schrader. And I think it should be Schrader. If you're going to keep a 4th running back, it should be Schrader. And also then you're talking about, oh man, do I keep 9 or 10 offensive linemen, right? Do we keep a 7th receiver, right? And gets into that real weird place there. And so something to keep an eye on there with Schrader. Let's see. Looking at the snap counts. Here's my snap counts. Wyatt Bowles, 63. A.J. Acuri, 56. Justin Diedick, center and guard, played 48. K.T. Leviston. How did he grade out? Does anyone know how he graded out? I'd be curious. Not that I'm going to, behold it, but I'd be curious to know. Bo Limmer, as was pointed out, I think it was by Brian Smith, had 39 snaps. Willie Lampkin, center, had 32. Quisenberry, 26. Kanata Munkfield, 42. Drake Stoops made some nice catches. I think he's going to get caught up in that numbers game. He had 39, and then Britton Covey had 35. It was Brennan Presley kind of was the breakout guy. I was thinking Mario Williams, and Brennan Presley was the guy that had a bit of a breakout on Saturday night. So something to keep an eye on. All right, let's see. Let's see. Here we go. USA Expat. Who is more annoying, Mina Kimes or Gary Klein? I'm not in a regular rotation with Gary Klein. Mina Kimes does not thrill me, right? Michael Negretti. Does Ronnie Rivers make the team? I say no. I think his time is up. So does USA Expat. Michael Negretti. Schrader brings the energy. He's just more physically gifted. I think he's just more physically gifted. Manny Vasquez. You sold me on your book. And I'm about to order Game Day in the RamCave. Yes, do that. There you go, man. There you go. All right. I appreciate that. Let me know how you like it. Let's see. Micah Gutierrez. The Niners must be really regretting dropping Cody since everyone and their mother is getting injured in Frisco. Absolutely. And if you look at it, I'll jump ahead here. Did you see who they signed today? They brought back Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson's been in Miami for a couple years languishing, and they brought back Jeff Wilson, who goes back to 2018. He was with the team for about 3 or 4 years, had some nice moments, but they brought back Jeff Wilson. They brought in Jeff Wilson. They brought in Robbie Chosen. They're losing guys that are young right now. And then on top of that, there was a report today on NFL News that they're slating Brandon Ayuk's return week 6. Week 6. I don't know where people are getting off talking about the 49ers as serious contenders in the NFC. Not just in the NFC West, but serious contenders. I'm stunned. I don't get it. All right, let's keep moving on here. Matthew Stafford did not practice today after a good workout on Saturday. Stafford said he didn't feel good enough to start the day on Monday. I remain optimistic. Not feeling good enough is better than not feeling good at all. The Rams are being smart. McVay said they're going to be flexible and fluid, and he said this to the team's website. Also, there was mention that they asked him about surgery, and they said surgery's not even a discussion. And I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I have no concerns at all regarding that going on with the Rams. No significant injuries, but they did put Anthony Torres in the street with an injury designation and signed McCallan Castles, the former. He was drafted or signed by Philly in 2024. Spent some time with the Chargers last year or in their organization. I don't know where he played his last few years, but this guy started, I think, at Tennessee, UC Davis, Cal. He bounced around in college football, so he's the new seventh string tight end there. All right, let's keep rolling. What else we got around the NFL and other places? I've made this argument, and I don't think it's caught fire. And this is a minor thing. I've argued that the Eagles are going to take a step back this season on offense. Not a big step, but I think they're going to take a step back. I think, again, defenses adjust, so offenses have to adjust. They lost Mekhi Becton. Their Lane Johnson's a year older at right tackle. Landon Dickerson, their guard, I think he's their left guard. Right guard. He's left guard. Landon Dickerson had a minor procedure on his knee that's still slated to start on September 4th, but he still had a procedure on his knee. Saquon Barkley carried the ball an awful lot last year. So I think the Eagles would be really good. I would take them at home against the Rams. I get it. I would take them in Philly against the Rams right now, but they played a Super Bowl schedule. They ran the distance last year. I do think there's a possibility they could take a step back, at least offensively, and we'll see how that plays out. Has anyone seen an episode of Soft Knocks? That's the one with the Buffalo Bills this year. I call it Soft Knocks because it ceased being Hard Knocks when they stopped showing players getting cut. All right, why do you call it Hard Knocks? I want to see the player come in the room, see Brian Billick said Ortega Jenkins, "Hey, bro, did you get your degree at Arizona?" And Jenkins says, "No, I didn't." He says, "You might want to finish that thing up because Brian Billick, Super Bowl winning head coach, is telling you you're not going to make it in this league, pal." And of course, he didn't. I think he had a cup of coffee in CFL, but that's why it was called Hard Knocks, right? And then they stopped doing that a few years ago, and it's like, so it's Soft Knocks. So I'm not really interested much in it anymore. I'll check it. Maybe I'll check it out tonight since there's no football on. Jackson Dart, right? We talked about Shadur Sanders on Saturday morning on that episode of RamView, but Jackson Dart looked pretty good too, and I was really happy about that. I'm giving Steeler fan Rob a super hard time because that means if Shadur Sanders becomes a competent starter, which he has all the tools to, and let's say Jackson Dart continues to develop, that means the Steelers passed on Jackson Dart and Shadur Sanders, but they got Will Howard. There you go. And then another thing here that I thought was really interesting, still around in the NFL, guys' names that keep popping up. The Titans released quarterback Tim Boyle. That guy's like something that really smells really foul, and he just doesn't go away. And they released him, and they signed former Denver starter Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian goes back to like 2016. I mean, this guy's been floating around everywhere. Former Raider, UCLA running back Brenton Brown. He was in the backfield with Zach Charbonnet for a while there at UCLA. He signs with the Bears, and the Ravens signed Myles Gaskin. Does anyone remember when Myles Gaskin was signed by the Rams? Anybody? Anybody? All right. Let's see here. What do we got? Still got people asking questions. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Brian Smith, Kimes for sure. She's a Seahawks fan, has no business being with us. Has she come out and said, I'm a Seahawks fan totally? I mean, I'm not doubting any of you guys. I just don't think she's that good. Even MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew kind of disappointed me a little bit. Not that it was anything along the line of Kimes. He was a player. He's a good dude and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes you just get the obvious from them. And this is where JB Long really disappointed me, is you just get that obvious statement. I want something more like set the lineup, who's on the field, do a breakdown there, and they didn't. Yeah, Kimes is hard to digest. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, Myles Garrett cited for driving 100 miles an hour in a 60 mile. I saw that this morning. I saw the link. This guy's a 40 Rock player. He's the leader. Well, what's he doing, man? What's he doing? I mean, isn't he supposed to set the mood? And he doesn't care about championships. I think he's a great player, but let's just settle it. Myles Garrett doesn't care about championships. Otherwise, he would have gone further than that deal there with the Browns. He'd have said, no amount of money. I'm going to take 35 and I'll go someplace and play for a chance to win. I'm not in on Myles. Myles Garrett's not Ram material. There we go. Did I put that fairly? I don't think he's Ram material. Let's see. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, what did you think of the CB that got flagged for taunting and making a great tackle? Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous. You don't ref NFL games like it's college football or high school football. These are grown men. If a grown man can't take a guy staring at him, he's a jerk. He's stupid. He doesn't get it. He's not really the kind of person you want to pay millions of dollars to if he's going to get incited by someone staring at him. So I thought it was a dumb players should have known what happens in the NFL, but it was a dumb call. It was a dumb flag. I thought it was a dumb flag. Steve Ramirez, yes, Hard Knocks was horrible. I won't watch other episodes. Wow, I haven't even seen the first one. Forgotten Locale. Tim Boyle played terrible in college, and he somehow made a comfortable earning place in the NFL. Truly an anomaly. Yeah, man, think about that. He's like the JT O'Sullivan of this generation, right? I'm a third-string guy. I hang around. I get a pension. He's probably going to get a color commentating job when it's over. It's going to be a good life, man. Good life, and no knee replacements, right? That guy's hung around forever. Is he Boston College? Was he Boston College? Manny Vasquez. Eagles definitely taking a step back with their O-line. Won't be as good. And teams are going to make Hurts beat them, which I don't believe he can. Boy, boom, you're right there with me on that one, man. You're right there with me on that one, Manny. I do not believe he's an elite passer. I think he's got an exceptional team. I think he's a great leader. I think they rally around him, but I don't think he's an elite passer, and he has elite receivers. But that team's going to take a step back. It wasn't Jalen Hurts that beat us. I know he had the long run, but again, we were 13 yards away. 13 yards away. Should I add that to my alternate history series that I want to write? Alternate history, the Rams play the Chiefs in Super Bowl IV. Alternate history, Burt Jones becomes the Rams quarterback in the mid-70s. Alternate history, the Rams score from 13 yards out to beat the Eagles last year and win the Super Bowl. Should I write that alternate history book? Call it the What If of the Rams. Let's see. Tim Burns, Kimes is dumb. Brian Smith, yes, several years ago, Kimes came out with it. And I guess she got away with it too, right? Forgotten Locale. I think Kimes is okay on ESPN, but she has no business being on the mic for the Rams games. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. Tim Burns, Kimes rolled her eyes at Aaron Rodgers. We all do, but she did it like she knew more than oh, man, that's it, Mr. Burns. That's the part I struggled with. I think it was her first year. It didn't bother me too much, but was it the year after she kind of like stepped over Andrew Whitworth? I think she was kind of like disagreeing with him or something. And it was like, man, that's a bad look. Whitworth, you're disagreeing, or you think you know something more than Whitworth. That was what really, really disengaged me from Mina Kimes. Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. Brian Smith, Kimes' dad was a Seahawks fan. She was more outspoken about the Seahawks toward the end of Russ Wilson's era. She's quieted down since then. Oh, good to know. Brian Smith, there you go. Tim Burns, I reminded everybody about your NFL Now column at Mid-Valley Sports that we publish tomorrow morning. Good job on that. USA Expat, forget the Eagles. We want the Falcons to suck. Yes, we do. Maybe they get Bob Berry at quarterback, right? Bring back Haskell Standback, maybe. That would be kind of cool. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. On Saquon, historically, running backs who run for 2,000 yards take a big step back, except Eric Dickerson. Good call there, Steve. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, what did you think of Milton going for the first down and didn't get it, but they gave it to Dallas? I'm telling you, this virtual thing is a joke. That virtual measurement stuff is an absolute joke. It's all a joke, right? Yeah. Let's see. Steeler fan Rob. We don't have to worry about Shedeur being better than anyone we drafted. Wasn't going to waste the pick. Okay. All right. Steeler fan Rob. Remember, I think we got that thing buying Lobster and Branson if Shedeur Sanders has a better year than Will Howard, right? Because Will Howard might get a chance to play. I got odds that, and I don't even gamble, I got odds Aaron Rodgers goes down by week 5 with some injury, right? There we go. Brian Smith. Cohen. I'm off right now. I know that means I'm Cohen, Liam Cohen, the former Ram OC, now the head coach with Jacksonville. Is that what you meant? Arch Manning announced he's going to stay a second year. Good for him. Gilbert Gonzalez. That was ESG. Sorry, ESG. I didn't give you your props. I wouldn't surprise me at all. I think that gives him flexibility, right? He sees, well, let's just say somehow the Rams maneuver and get the first round pick, right? I don't know. If the Rams maneuver and get the first pick in the draft and Arch Manning's great, I think Arch Manning might change his mind. If the Chiefs somehow, not that they're moving off of Patrick Mahomes, right? If they somehow figured it out, right? I think Arch Manning might go, you know what? Now's the time to go because next year somebody else might have that pick. I think it's really good to see who are the 5 worst teams out there and decide maybe that might be a little more flexible. Gilbert Gonzalez, the Rams were one good quarterback from winning 2 or 3 Super Bowls in the 70s and 80s. Everything else tried, every broken down has-been, all of them had nothing left. And I touched a chord there, didn't I, Gilbert? Hey, I'm still asking for help here. Which book should I write? Rams in Super Bowl 4, Burt Jones with the Rams in the mid-70s? Which one should I write, right? Nolan Cromwell holding on to the pick, Eddie Brown not being a factor in Super Bowl 14. Which one should it be? Let's see. Brian Smith, yes, Liam Cohen. That's it. Boom. There we go. Tim Burns, Monday, Cancer Center has crap reception, so I have been off the grid all day. No worries, Mr. Burns. No worries. Good article. Brian Smith, oh, good. Put the Arch talk to bed. He backed up a 7th-round pick last year. My question on that, and I'm going to throw that back at you guys, is why didn't Quinn Ewers stay in college? I mean, not at Texas, because there was talk that he had offers to go to another school and get 6 rocks guaranteed. Why not just take that, right? He had already made, I think, close to 15 or 16 in college, $1 million. Why not take the 6 rocks, go play quarterback somewhere, and then sit on the Riviera for the rest of your life and enjoy your life? Why not do that? That was like, I wouldn't have come to the NFL to be a 7th-round pick. If I got a chance to make $6 million, there you go. Okay, I mentioned Fog City brings back Jeff Wilson. They waived Tanner Mordecai again. Brandon Ayuk projected a Week 6 return to the field. Cardinals, keep an eye on their offensive line. I think it's slowly coming together. Those tackles, that center. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but it's not going to be Roger Finney, Bob Young, Dan Deerdorf, Conrad Dobler, and Tom Banks. It's not going to be that offensive line, but it's going to be a good offensive line. I think a decent offensive line for the Cardinals. Speaking of offensive line, Gray Zabel, 20 snaps, had a nice game at left guard for the Seahawks against the Raiders. Something else to keep an eye on. There we go. Brian Smith, Ewers expected to go higher. I think you're right, Brian. Totally. He was. Steve Ramirez, my alternate history. Rams trade Gabriel for Tarkington after the 71 season, win the 1974 Super Bowl. No, I don't want Fran Tarkington in a Ram uniform. Steve, help me. I thought for a while there your second team was the Cowboys. Maybe somewhere where, someone spikes Tom Landry's milk with vodka and he trades Roger Staubach to the Rams because he believes in Craig Morton or something. But I don't want Tarkington with the Rams. Ew, gross. Tim Burns, Xavier Smith can stretch the field. Must use him more. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't make this team and as the fifth receiver. I really would. And then they use him in all sorts of different ways. And plus, you notice him, he's not a rail either. He's kind of thick. Gilbert Gonzalez, Cromwell dropping that INT, that hit him in the chest. Bradshaw should have had 5 interceptions in that Super Bowl, dropped at least 2. I'm not letting Eddie Brown off the hook, guys. I'm not letting Eddie Brown off the hook. All right. Forgotten locale. Zabel is a special player. It's a shame he got drafted to Seattle. Yeah, keep an eye on him because he's on the left side. They still have issues at guard, right guard, center, and we got to find out about Abraham Lucas. But on the left side, you got Charles Cross and you got Zabel, and that might be good enough to make them dangerous. Tim Burns, Tart can get his Rams kit at Baby Gap. Oh, there we go. Manny Vasquez, Cardinals GM has drafted Monty Osifort. Has drafted well, but their quarterback is still Murray. That's their Achilles heel. They will be dangerous, though. I agree. They'll be dangerous, and I believe that, the thing that will hold them down is Kyler Murray. I think he was in the last show. I mentioned Kyler Murray's going to turn 28 if he hasn't already. But, he's been in the league since, 2019? He's 28 now. What haven't we seen? What are we going to see right now, right? What's going to change now for Kyler Murray to go, oh, man, that guy's top 5 quarterback, right? Yeah, I have strong doubts. ESG, before there was the 90s Bills, there was the 70s Vikings. But that one was really enjoyable, okay? I rooted for the Bills against the Cowboys twice. I wanted the Redskins, and I was indifferent about the Giants Bills game because that was my first year as a youth pastor, and I was the first Super Bowl I had to miss the second half. So I didn't see the end of that game. Yeah, my heart breaks. But I loved seeing the Vikings lose their Super Bowls. It was beautiful. I hated the Vikings. Steve Ramirez retracts his statement. Forgotten locale. Granted, Arizona isn't a very well-run organization, but Murray is going into year 7 and has hardly anything to show for it. No. At some point, you become good enough to where you insist, right? You make changes, Even if you want to think about it a little bit, go to Carson Palmer, where he just says, I'm done. Unlike Myles Garrett, not different positions. Myles Garrett says, oh, I'm done. Oh, but you give me 40 rocks, I'll stay and never get one of these in my career, right? But Carson Palmer just was out. He goes, get me out of here, right? And I think, was it Coward? Somebody said, how different would Carson Palmer's career be if he had gone someplace else? Right? How different would it be if he didn't go Cincy, Oakland, and then Arizona in those days? Yeah, and he played pretty well in Arizona, but he took a beating and stuff. So, but Monty Osifort's done a really good job. I broke that down for you guys about the top 100 picks and what they're hitting on. They're hitting quite a few of them. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, what about Rams get 1971 number 2 pick and draft Archie Manning, win 2 Super Bowls in the 1970s? There's another guy, right? The Carson Palmer of the 70s, What if for Archie Manning? That good family, right? Obviously, there's no bitterness there. His family turned out well. His sons turned out well. Good family guy. But yeah. I remember Football Digest. Football Digest would come out, it was about that big, little short TV guide size magazine. And it was said, and one of the subtitles in the story was called The Agony of Archie Manning, because he just kept getting his butt kicked there. And he should have been a jerk. At some point, he should have been a jerk and just says, guys, trade me. I'm not coming in. But that was part of the problem. Ole Miss guy right there in New Orleans as well. That was Shakespearean. That was a Greek tragedy. Capital T, what happened to Archie Manning in his career. Let's see. Tim Burns, that 70-yard field goal was good from 76. I think it was almost 80. They could kick field goals all day and get wins. Should they get 4 points for a 70-yard plus field goal? Should they get 4 points? ESG, those Kyler Murray 7 years are the quietest in the NFL. Yeah. And I think some of that is the organization. You guys are right. Forgotten locale. But also some of that is quite a bit of that is Kyler Murray. Remember his disposition and his body language in that playoff loss to the Rams? Remember how he didn't want no more, right? In 2021, he just didn't want anymore. And that's a souring effect on me. Let's see. Gilbert Gonzalez, always rooted for Arch, had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Yeah. Was that Martha and the Vandellas? Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. There we go. All right, let's see what we got here. Not much, but we'll do it.
It was a stone groove, my man.
All right. Not much today, but tomorrow, August the 12th, we're not on the air. Rams release Sonny Six Killer, one of Steve Ramirez's favorite college quarterbacks, probably one of the greatest names of all time. Rams released Sonny Six Killer. What if Sonny Six Killer had a magical run with the Rams? Could I write that one? But yeah, Sonny Six Killer was released by the Rams. He was an undrafted free agent, signed by the Rams in 73. Now, you remember, back in 73, those draft rounds went like 17 rounds, right? So he wasn't drafted. He was really not looked at all. And I think he got a cup of coffee in the WFL. Then, of course, he played in the longest yard with Burt Reynolds. So, yeah, I love that name. Always stuck out. I think I saw a couple of I got my hands on one briefly for a while, an old Sports Illustrated. I think he was on the cover. I think it was Sport. Was it Sport or Sports Illustrated? I'm not sure. But anyway, August 12th, 1973, the Rams release Sonny Six Killer. 1978, Rams lose a preseason game to the Chargers at the Coliseum. And I think that was the game that I was at that game. I thought it was the Patriots, but no, it was this game. It was the second game. And George Allen was the head coach. And George Allen was put in the street the next day. And that was the last time he coached in the NFL. But that was a big game. I sat in the open end in the pavilion there. They had that little short pavilion. And Rams lost that game. And I think that was it for George Allen, August the 12th, 1978. And then August the 12th, 1986, Dieter Brock has knee surgery. Now, I remember Dieter Brock came to the Rams in 85, right? And he was quickly tabbed as the only man in the world who could overthrow Muammar Gaddafi, right? That's when the Herald Examiner ran a poll. Who's the worst quarterback in Los Angeles, Mark Wilson or Dieter Brock? Dieter Brock was brutal. But in 86, this is before the Jim Everett trade. I think they had brought in Steve Bartkowski. He had a gimpy knee, but Dieter Brock had knee surgery in August. He was gone forever, never again appeared in a Ram uniform. So there we go. We've hit the 58-minute mark. This show just flied by today. Guys, thank you for hanging with me. Let's see here. Let's see. Brian Smith, Six Killer, University of Washington guy. Yeah, Six Killer. Yeah. There's a few highlights on YouTube if you want to see it. Gilbert Gonzalez. Let's see here. Sonny was only 5'6". Only if he was a half foot taller, he could have been a great quarterback. So was that a THT type thing? Well, he's just a few inches taller. 5'6"? I thought he was bigger than 5'6". I was thinking more like 5'10", but if you say so. I never saw him live. So I'll go with what you say. Steve Ramirez, I seem to remember reading about a player revolt led to Allen's firing. Yeah. They were not happy with him. Remember he traded, they traded Harold Jackson, right? This is the guy that traded Harold Jackson the first time and traded Harold Jackson that summer to the Patriots. And that was interesting. And then there was some battles there about like, who was really going to be calling the shots here, Klosterman or Allen. We know how Allen wanted to do things. I'm all for George Allen being in the Hall of Fame. I love George Allen, but there was some contentiousness there. I know Jack Youngblood, I read things he didn't like. He was having struggles. They were having struggles with his practice routine. He was really driving the veterans hard and breaking their routine. And Malavasi was the guy everyone liked. And so, yeah, I heard it was somewhat of a player revolt. You're absolutely right, Steve. USA Expat, memory lane. Remembering Doug France getting in shape by ditching keg next to his living room recline. No, I didn't see that. Man, I'd love to see that. Read about that. That's hilarious. Manuel Vasquez, those Dieter Brock games were brutal. Only when they counted, right? When Eric Dickerson was running wild, it was great. That the playoff game against the Cowboys, the 3 touchdowns, the 21-0 win over the Cowboys in Anaheim, that was great because he didn't have to do anything. But seeing Dieter Brock try to quarterback the Rams to a victory in the NFC Championship game against the Bears, I mean, I was disappointed in the Viking game in obviously on the radio in 77. I was disappointed in the Viking game in 76 because I believed. I was disappointed in the Cowboy game in 75 because I believed. I was disappointed in 74 because I really believed. But I have to admit, by January of 86, after that 85 season, I was just kind of loosely hoping they could beat the Bears. But, only guy to beat the Bears that year was Dan Marino, right? And that's where they had an advantage, right? That secondary with a quick release, strong-armed quarterback and a shotgun probably, that's what beat the Bears. Because if there was a weakness, it was their corners. And if somebody can get it out quick, right? Somebody can get it out quick like Dan Marino, that's where the Bears could have been beaten, and the Rams didn't have one of those guys. Just didn't. I wonder if if Bartkowski still had any juice left in him and the Rams got him a year sooner, if that could have made a difference. There we go. Manny Vasquez. Oh, I'm sorry. Tim Burns. Philly has their backup quarterback, Stanford quarterback Tanner McKee, shredded. Tanner McKee, I liked him in college. I really did. I liked him. I think he's a little bit older, though. Didn't he do his 2-year Mormon mission or something? He might be in his late 20s by now. Stephen L.C. Weeks. Heard him bad, Joe Bob. Joe Bob, you're looking awful, right? Is that what he said about Joe Bob? Gilbert Gonzalez. Dealer was great handing the ball. Passing it, not so good. There we go. Oh, man, guys, you guys kept me wrong. Kept me late. Willie Bowen. There you go. Willie Bowen, thank you for getting here. Brian Smith. He's only 25, right? Is that like a fresh 25, or is he turning 26 this season? I don't know. Seems like he's been around for a while because I remember him at Stanford, but I could be wrong. I did like him there. I did like him a lot. Hey, guys, I know we got an audience, but we're over an hour, and sometimes a good thing can be too much. So I'm going to let you go. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, share, and get us out there. I think we're the funnest of all the Rams podcasts. Check us out on Spotify, iHeart, and we'll go from there. He just turned 25. Chalk up a win for Brian Smith. You got me. Thank you so much. Sorry, Willie. God bless. Take care, guys.